Welcome to this GiftWorks video. My name is Jonathan Lehman, and this is the fourth video in a 7-part video series on GiftWorks Events. GiftWorks Events is an optional add-in that can be purchased, and it works with any of the versions of the GiftWorks fundraising software from GiftWorks 2008 and later. In the previous videos as part of this video series, I've already given a quick, fast-paced overview of the entire process to set up an event. I've been working with an event called the 2009 Winter Banquet, and starting with video 2, we started going through the process of setting up an event at a slower pace, providing more information about individual areas within that. And starting in video 2, I talked about how one of the first things after you set up the basic information for an event, you'd want to start designing and thinking about the activities, the orderable items that you'd want to set up. And so we set up some meal tickets, some sponsorships, and some brochures for this event. And then in video 3, we talked about the participant list and how what a participant list is and how you can target donors based on smart lists or mailing lists to invite to your event, and you can add them to your participant list and assign them to invitation groups, and then do targeted invitation mailings based on those invitation groups. And we also covered managing tasks and how within events you can create tasks and assign them to individuals to make sure that the things are getting done that need to get done for you to hold your event. In this particular video, I'm going to talk about creating reservations for donors, and this is sort of where it brings it all together. It's where donors are reserving one or more of the activities that you have created for your event. Let's begin by signing into GiftWorks. If you've installed the GiftWorks Events add-in, you'll have an additional option on your toolbar called Events. You click on that. I go to Manage Events. I'm going to double click on our 2009 Winter Banquet. Brings it up. I can view it on our Summary tab. You can see the basic information we have for that. Now we have a goal and we have some potential income, not any actual income yet, but some potential income, and that's based on the activities that we set up. And if you remember, we set up 2 different types of meal ticket activities. Just to give an example of the flexibility within events, there's different ways you can accomplish the same thing. In this case, we have 30 tables at our banquet with 8 per table, so there's 240 total meal tickets available. So we can set up one generic activity with 240 tickets available, which would limit us to ordering 240, and they're going to specify. We're going to capture the meal choice, the ticket number, and then we'll record the table number, and that way we can track which tables people have been assigned to. But the GiftWorks event itself would not limit us to assigning more than 8 per table. Alternately, we could set up 30 separate activities, one for each table. We could have a meal ticket, table 1 through 30, table 1, table 2, table 3, and with an avail of 8 per table. That would limit us to only assigning 8 per table. So that's another way we could do that, and there would be some different ways that would be reported in our activity summary and so forth, but it gives you an idea of the flexibility. We set up a table sponsorship. This is where somebody can sponsor a table to help offset the cost, defray the cost of the event. And there's 30 of those available since there's 30 tables. And we also set up an activity where there's no cost to it. There's no limit to how many order. We have brochures that we would like to hand out to persons that attend our event that they can then hand out to family and friends who have not attended the event. And we can print as many of those as we need, but we don't want to print more than we need to. So we're going to have people order those and say how many they would like to have when they come to the event. So let's begin by going to the reservations area. You can see there's no reservations. To add a reservation, somebody needs to be a donor. In this case, let's say Pete Brooks has sent us in a check in the mail. So I'm going to add a reservation. I'm going to search for Pete. And Pete was a donor in GiftWorks, so I can automatically add him. The reservation defaults to today's date. I'm going to be able to add one or more activities here. So he wants to order some meal tickets. So we're going to start with using this one that was for this example, the 240 meal tickets. One that I have to specify this information. He's been charged 20. Remember, the quantity was restricted, so we can't order more than one. And the price comes up as the list price of $25. That's what we're going to charge him. And he picks the meal choice of chicken. We're going to assign a ticket number so we can track those. We're going to assign him to table number 2. He also wants to order a meal ticket for his wife. Again, we'll charge $25. She's going to order beef. She's ticket number 2. And of course, she'd want to be at the same table number. And he's also interested in, we asked him how many brochures he'd want. He thought he could hand out about 20 brochures. There's no cost to that, but there's a quantity of 20. And there's no reservation information to capture for that. We just click Finish. See now that it's a total charge of $50. He's actually sent in a check. We can mark here that he's paid $50. You've noticed this amount paid is for the entire reservation. It's not per activity. So we can click Save. We get a notification that, if you remember, Pete Brooks was on our original participant list. We sent an invitation to him. If you remember, we talked about how by default they're added as invited status. Since he's on there as invited status, it changes his status to accepted. It's just telling us that. If we don't want to get this notification every time, we can uncheck this box. We'll leave it checked so we continue to get those for now. So now you can see that it's beginning to build our summary up here. We have total expected of 50 and total paid of 50. Jackie Lehman sent in us a check, so we searched for Jackie. And we noticed that she's not even a donor system, so we must not send her an invitation. Perhaps she heard about it from a friend. So we're going to add Jackie as a donor. And I could add, all the information about her that I would have. Maybe I'd have a phone number or name and address, but I'm not going to take the time to do that now. Once we do that, let's just show that I could change the reservation date. We're going to show that she's ordering meal ticket for table 1. Again, we would not have both these types of meal tickets, but this is the way we're just to demonstrate the different ways. She's actually going to order 8 of these. She's going to order for an entire table, and because she's doing that, we're actually giving her a discount we'll charge her $20 per table. And they're all going to order chicken. Of course, if someone would want chicken and someone would beef, we could order this activity more than once. How many times? We could add it twice, once for the chicken, once for the beef. And in this case, she has not sent the money in. She said she'll send a check next week. So we'll just click Save. And again, it gives us a different notification. Because Jackie was not in our participant list, because she was not even a donor in GiftWorks and we didn't send her an invitation, it's going to add her to the participant list and say she was not invited. So this would give us a way of tracking donors that attended our event that were not invited, and we could do some reporting and so forth later on that. So again, it's just notifying us of that. Notice how it's building our reservation totals here of how much money we're expecting, how much has been paid so far. So I'm going to add another reservation. I'm going to add one for Mark. Mark said that he's interested in not only attending but sponsoring a table. So remember, he was one we targeted both ways. So basically, we're going to try to add. We're going to also show you. I'm going to try to assign him to table 1. It will not allow us to do that. It shows you how that quantity restriction would work. So in this case, because that's working, we're going to assign him to just the regular meal ticket there. We send him beef, ticket number 3, table number 3, finish. And we're going to also add a sponsorship activity. So he's going to sponsor 1 table, and on the table he's going to put the name of his company. With the consulting, and he actually paid $225 for that. All $225, sent that in. Again, it's telling us it's going to change the status. I'm going to add one more reservation for corporation that sent in, said they want to sponsor it, and they're only going to sponsor. In this case, again, we're going to charge them $200, and I'm not going to bother putting the nameplate information in the sake of time at this point. But in this case, they sent in a check for $300 and said just consider the rest. Apply the $200 to your event. You can the rest can be considered a donation to your organization of over and above what it costs. Now, there's several different ways you can handle that. You notice it gave us a little prompt here: paid amount is greater than the total amount due, and it encourages us to consider entering a donation for the additional amount paid over the amount due. This begs us to talk a little bit about how money is handled in GiftWorks events. GiftWorks events money is handled; it's tracked differently, separately. When you add reservation money by adding reservations with GiftWorks events, that's tracked separately than donation dollars. And many organizations want to actually keep that money separate, and so we give that flexibility within GiftWorks events. There is no receipting within the GiftWorks event add-in, so if you want to receipt an amount that you received, you're either going to have to do a manual receipt or do that by adding a donation. What we want you to keep in mind is it's up to you how you want to use GiftWorks events. Our recommendation is that if it works the best, that you would keep that money separate, that you would keep your GiftWorks event dollars in the events module, and any donations outside of that you could add as donations. If you want to enter also enter these amounts as donations so you can receipt, that's up to you. Just keep that in mind with your reporting and as you look at donor information going forward within GiftWorks. So in this case, we'd recommend that you enter the $200 and click Save. Again, it's changing the status. And that on Cresta, you click on Cresta, and you can actually add a donation right here. for the additional $100. I'm not gonna. I just want to get through to this final page. I can show I can actually set up a campaign for the 2009 Winter Banquet, so I can actually attach that donation associated with the same campaign of this event also, which will help in some of the reporting later. So go back to this. Now you can see how we're starting to build our reservation expected amount, paid amount, and due amount. And if I go over to the summary, you can see it's starting to build information over here about expected income, how much income we've actually received, the amount that's been paid. We're going to go over this in more detail in a future video. Also, it has a special section where it talks about the sponsors, those that are sponsored. So you can see that Mark and Eliota and Cresta Corporation have sponsored this event. So we're starting to build more and more information. If we were running some reports, we could see that also. So I hope that this video has been helpful. We'll continue on future videos, and I encourage you to watch the remaining videos in this series of videos. Thank you.